Hi guys, this is Timbeeeer, and today, well, I got a wisdom tooth pulled. So apologies if I sound a bit weird, but with the impending return of Kulve Taroth, I decided to do a guide that I've been meaning to do since the event was originally released but never got to, and that is to show the dozen or so moves by the Elder Dragon. So by showing these moves, the idea is hopefully it'll help you hunt Kulve Taroth a bit easier, especially while going for those Kulve Taroth weapons, or maybe hunting those stones that you might have missed during her first appearance. Anyway, let's go through the key moves, like Jagger. Or is it like Jagras? Alright, so the first move is the charge, or the basic charge. When Kulve Taroth does this, she'll rear her head back a little bit, and then open her mouth. After that, she'll go charge forward, and try to hit you with her horns. With this attack, you can get hit usually either by the horn itself, or also by her chest. The range isn't that long, however, so it's pretty easy to dodge, and you can also stand by the armpit area, which is a safe spot. Otherwise, you could also block it. Next is the move that I like to call the drive-by. Did anybody get the license plate for the big golden dragon? This move is especially noticeable during the first phase of the Kulve Taroth hunt when she doesn't do as many moves, and this is one of those moves that she does. Basically, when she moves along, she can hit you with her big body. I guess you can say she's thick. Up next is her four-leg swipe, which I also like to call the Gimme 5 move. When Kulve Taroth does this move, she'll bow a little bit and start moving towards the right, and you can see that she'll raise her right paw and just try to smack you with it. This is another move that's pretty easy to avoid. If you're up close, just head towards her chest, which is a safe spot. Or if you're gunning or bowing and you're a little bit far, just step back and you should be able to easily avoid it. Once you get Kulve Taroth to her second phase, she'll start using more moves. There's the body slam where she steps back a little bit, stands up on her hind legs, and raises her two forelegs kind of like a bear. And then she'll slam her body down to the ground really hard. The release version isn't that much faster, so it's not that hard to see it. Anyway, just dodge away from her whole front area and you should be golden. No pun intended. Up next is her front sweep. Sweep the leg! So some folks might confuse this with the four-leg swipe. The main difference is that with the right hand swipe, she actually ducks her head a little bit before she raises her right hand. For the front sweep, her head is pretty much at a raised position. When doing this, she will sweep the ground with her right hand in a 180-degree angle or turn. Actually, she can also do this move with her left hand. So just watch out for that front area and sort of the radius around it. If you're fighting her up close and you don't think you'll be able to dodge away from it in time, the armpit area near the chest is actually a safe spot. In addition to the armpit area near the chest, standing just outside whichever arm she uses as she winds up is a safe spot as well, because it doesn't hit until the paw comes down. So it'll pretty much go over you. If you stand up aligned with her forearm on the side as she winds up to do the move. I also don't remember being hit by her tail when she does this move. Usually it just kind of pushes me around. Up next we have the tail whip. You know that Kulve Taroth is doing this move because she bends down, almost like she's going to be doing a push-up. And she usually looks to the side, which is where the tail whip is going to hit. And then she does this huge 180-degree tail swipe, which has a lot of range. Girl's got a long tail, so if you're standing on the outskirts of her body, you definitely want to get some distance, because it can hit you even when you think you're safe. Otherwise, just try to head to the opposite side of her body if you can, and you should be safe. She can also do this from her left side or her right side, so just pay attention to her tells. If you're a gunner, you want to especially pay attention to this when you're doing a Dragon Pierce or a Wyvern Snipe, because this is one of the attacks that can actually hit you while you're glued to the ground as you're waiting for the Dragon Piercer or the Wyvern Snipe to come out. Speaking of moves that gunners should be especially cautious about, up next we have the Flame Breath. Now you know that Kulve Taroth is doing this because she'll crouch for a bit and then you can see that telltale glow coming from her mouth. She'll then shoot a fire breath that comes out in a straight line right in front of her. Now this thing can come out pretty fast if you're not expecting it, and I know this because I got hit from the back at one point and I thought I was pretty safe. She just turned around and quickly hit me with a flame breath or a fire breath. In fact, when I'm gunning her, this is usually the #1 reason I die. Because I get hit while doing a Wyvern Snipe usually, and it can pretty much kill me in one hit based on the gunner armor I was using. At the same time, it still can hit Blade Masters who are super aggressive and maybe like, trying to smack her head. In fact, during one hunt, I saw this move hit 3 Blade Masters who were conveniently lined up in a row like a choo-choo train in front of the attack. On the plus side, it should not one-shot you as a Blade Master, provided that your health is full. I've also seen this move hit not just myself, but other people while they're healing, because usually when you heal, you try to get away from the monster, and anytime you have that separation from Kulve Taroth and have enough distance between both of you, that's when she loves to use this move. So just watch out for it when you're healing, because if it does hit you when you're healing, you're pretty much dead. Especially if you're just starting your heal animation and you haven't fully healed your life yet.
Do a barrel roll!
Up next is the favorite move of Peppy Hair from Star Fox, the barrel roll. At least that's what I like to call it. Now there are 2 versions of this move. There's the quick version and then there's the rushing version. The quick version is something she can do either to the left or to the right. And you know she'll be doing this because she does it from a stationary position, then looks sideways to wherever she's gonna roll, and then shakes her mane before she does it. Now this is a straight up sideways roll to whichever direction she was facing. So as long as you're not directly aligned with her whole body, which is pretty huge, you should be fine. Otherwise you can block it, and there are also some safe spots just underneath her body, but they can be tricky depending on where your positioning is. Yeah, because barring those few safe spots, you can be pretty much hit by her entire body. So the horn can hit you, the actual body can hit you, the tail can hit you, but for the most part, just try to get away from the body itself, or block it if you can do that. Then there's the rushing version, which covers a lot of ground. A lot of ground. Now it's easy to see when Kulve Taroth is doing this because she'll slowly rear up and then do a swimming motion with her hands in the air. She will then rush forward and do a corkscrew turn. So some of the footage I'm actually showing here was from my first couple or so hunts. I was surprised just how many times I'd get hit when I think I'm in a safe spot. Now as far as the rushing version of the barrel roll, I don't think I've ever seen her do this move to her right. Usually when she twists toward her left side. So I've always been successful in avoiding it when I'm running towards her right and then dodging that way. So her right, of course, is going to be left from your point of view. Yeah, but there's a pretty long tail when she does this, and so if you're kind of close to mid-range, once you see her doing it, just start running to her left, to her right, and you should be able to avoid it, no problem. Otherwise, there are some safe spots, once again, underneath, as long as you get into a point where her body doesn't touch the ground while she's rolling, and you can block it as well. This is one of those moves that tends to hit people a lot compared to her other moves. Sometimes they might be stuck on the ground doing a certain attack animation, or they're just not prepared for it, or they're in a bad spot and there's no way they could avoid it. So when that happens, just make sure to throw a life powder, because I have seen teammates die from this move. Now it's time to go over the move that I've seen kill more hunters than I can remember as far as any move that Kulve Taroth does, and that would be the Magma Breath. Now there are 2 versions of this move. One is when she does it on all 4s, And then there's the second one where she stands up, and that's the really dangerous one, by the way. So for the all fours version, she'll do a quick head shake, and then she'll spew molten fire. Yeah, she'll spew fire just right in front of her. And it creates this pool of fire and molten ground, I guess, that slowly ticks your health. And I say slowly from a relative standpoint, because it can go pretty fast if you're just standing there. Now for the standing version, she'll rear back and then stand on her hind legs, and you know she's going to do it because she's just like standing towering above you. Now the one where she moves her head around isn't too bad, but if you see her just staring down and her head is not moving, that's the one that goes a really long range. You could be seemingly clear across the map from her and it'll still hit you. And I learned this the first time I got hit by it as a gunner, because my back was against the wall. She was clear across the other side of the final map, and it still hit me. That's when I also learned that you cannot block this with a heavy bow gun with 2 shield attachments. Anyway, when this happens, do not panic roll. Because I've done that, I've seen other people do that. Usually that's the best way to get killed by this move, pretty much. When it happens, you have a few choices that should be able to save your hide. If you're close enough, the ideal thing to do is go toward her legs, because it has crazy range in front of her, but really doesn't hit from the back. And so when she's doing that, it's actually an opportunity for you to start hitting the tail, or even the back leg, and get some free damage in. By the way, with the all fours version, I've seen her do it not just from the front, but also with the head tilted a bit to the side. So make sure you watch out for that as well. Now, if you find yourself in front of her while she's doing this move, and you might not have time to make it to the back leg, you still have some options that you can do. One is to use a Farcaster. So that includes the easy Farcaster that you get from the beginning of the game, from the box. Yeah, just pop that, and you should be able to escape it, because it doesn't prevent you from using a Farcaster. Solution number 2 is to do a Superman dive. So you basically run away from her using a panic run, and then hit roll, which turns into a Superman dive. And basically, while you're in the Superman dive animation, you're invincible. And so even when you're lying down on the ground and it's still around you, you shouldn't get hit. And usually that prevents enough damage from outright killing you, at least until the move is over. Another thing that you can do is pop either a Vitality Mantle or a Fireproof Mantle, and that should buy you enough time as well. If you're an Instant Glaive user, you can also use an air dash or your air combos to escape it. And then if you're using a weapon with a shield, like a lance, if you have guard skills, you should be able to block it as well. The only issue when you're blocking it is to make sure to keep an eye out for your stamina, because it can tick it pretty fast. If you're afraid that you're going to run out, just do a power guard, and that might buy you just enough stamina or time to survive the onslaught. If you happen to be safe from the move, but you're noticing that some of your teammates are getting hit by it, go ahead and pop a life powder, maybe even 2. Because I've seen so many teammates die from this move, and I've fainted from it as well. So it's always nice when somebody tries to save you and sprinkles some life powder in the air and gives you enough time to heal yourself or escape and not faint, and cost your party one of those precious carts. Up next are a few more moves that I've noticed she usually only does when she's in her released form. One is the Horn Strike, and her tell when doing this is that she raises her head while looking down, and then she'll slam her horn left, right, and left. Obviously, you don't want to be at the head area when she's doing this. Up next is a Side Slam. This kind of starts out almost the same as the standing Magma Breath. She'll stand up on her hind legs, and then she'll do a sidewards body slam towards one side of her body. But either way, just look where she's looking. You don't want to be at the area that aligns with her shoulders, pretty much, because that's where you can get hit. If you're close enough, just stay right where her hind legs are, and that's usually a safe spot. You can just keep attacking while she's doing it. And last but not least is the released Rushing Horn Strike, or Bulldozer move, because that's what it looks like. Basically, before she charges, she'll do a head bob, kind of like Stone Cold Steve Austin, and then she'll just charge right in front of her. Now she does this on a straight line, so it's pretty easy to avoid. The only thing is it's super fast, or it comes out pretty fast. So if you're not prepared for it, you can get hit, but if you do see it coming, just dodge towards the side, and you should be fine. And there you have it. That's the dozen or so moves of Kulve Taroth. Or Kulve Taroth. I keep saying Kulve. Kulvisak. Yeah, those are the dozen or so moves that Kulve Taroth does. Do you have any of your own strategies to share about the Kulve Taroth hunt? As always, feel free to share any tips, thoughts, or questions in the comment section. Once again, this is Tabi Asobi, and thank you for watching.